The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council shimmered under the soft glow of starlight panels, floating above a golden floor that reflected every movement. Representatives of the most powerful alien races in the galaxy had gathered, each seated in a ring of levitating chairs around a large circular screen. The Zernaks, tall and silver-skinned, pulsed gently with light as they communicated through color. The insect-like Trachons clicked their mandibles with irritation, and the glowing Mindar floated silently, their bodies made of shifting energy. At the very center sat Council Leader Vrak, a massive creature from the stone-bodied Volnari race. He had ruled the Council for over 300 years, his voice strong enough to quiet even the loudest room. But today, he said nothing. No one did. Everyone's eyes were locked on the screen in front of them. It showed a spinning image of Earth, blue, green, and full of life. Above it, a single word blinked in red light: humans. The silence was heavy, as if the whole galaxy was holding its breath. Some aliens didn't even know why they were called to this emergency meeting. Others had heard stories, rumors, strange tales whispered between stars, but none of them truly understood. Finally, Vrak stood, his stone body creaking slightly. "We must speak about Earth," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We must speak about the humans." A few aliens tilted their heads, or blinked their many eyes. A Mindar shifted its glowing shape nervously. The Trachon general, covered in dark armor, gave a sharp hiss. "They look weak," he said with a sneer. "No claws, no fangs. They are not fast. They are not strong. They are soft." He tapped the screen with one long finger. "How can that be dangerous?" A soft sound like wind chimes filled the room as a Mindar responded. "Then how did they destroy the war kings of Zarn?" she asked. "No species has ever beaten them. Not in 5,000 years. But the humans did. In just 2 weeks." That made the room fall quiet again. Even the proud Trachon general looked unsure now. Vrak raised one heavy hand. "There is something different about them," he said, slowly. "We have met thousands of species across the galaxy, some smart, some strong, some wise. But humans are something else, something we don't yet understand." The floating screen changed, now showing images from space reports. Human warships, smaller than most alien fleets, but with strange shapes and strange energy readings. They had beaten enemies they should not have beaten. They had survived attacks that should have destroyed them. Vrak continued. "They arrived late to the stars. They were not the first to fly, not the first to build. But now they rise faster than any race we've ever seen. They learn fast. They grow fast. And when they are threatened, they do not run." His voice lowered. "They fight, and they do not stop." One of the Zernaks spoke then, his body flickering in dim blue light. "Perhaps they are just lucky," he said quietly, "or perhaps we misunderstand them." But even he did not sound sure. No one did. Every being in the room could feel it. Something was coming. Something new. Something dangerous. They were used to power, to logic, to control. But humans brought something else, something wild, unpredictable, and impossible to measure. The Council didn't yet know how to describe it, but they all knew one thing. Earth was no longer just a small planet on the edge of the galaxy. It was a warning. And the word that blinked red on the screen seemed to grow louder in their minds. Humans. 100 years ago, the galaxy had never seen anything like it. The peaceful Zernak people, known for their calm ways and advanced technology, decided to make first contact with Earth. They sent a beautiful ship, shaped like a giant silver bird, to the blue planet. Their mission was simple: to offer peace, friendship, and gifts. They arrived with glowing crystals, rare books from across the stars, and peaceful messages encoded in light. The Zernaks believed they would be welcomed with open arms, just like they had done with every other species they met. However, they were wrong. When the Zernaks landed, they were met with a terrifying sight. Human soldiers, in heavy armor and carrying large weapons, surrounded them before they could even step off their ship. It was as if the humans didn't trust them, or worse, feared them. The Zernak leaders tried to communicate peacefully, but the humans didn't listen. Instead of a warm greeting, they pointed their guns at them and demanded that they leave. The Zernaks tried again, but every attempt was met with more threats and hostility. It didn't take long before they realized that the humans weren't interested in friendship. They thought the Zernaks were invaders, planning to attack. They reacted the way they always did when they felt threatened, aggressively. The humans didn't hesitate. They opened fire. The Zernaks tried to protect themselves, but their energy shields were no match for the advanced human weapons. In a matter of minutes, their peaceful ship was in ruins, and several of their crew were injured or killed. The Zernaks managed to escape, barely, and returned to their fleet with a chilling message. Humans had attacked them without provocation. They weren't sure what they had done wrong. They had offered peace, after all. But the humans had misinterpreted it as an attack, and their response had been swift and violent. The news of the attack spread quickly through the galaxy, causing shock and confusion. The Zernaks couldn't understand it. They had been peaceful and kind, but the humans had seen them as a threat. It was a complete breakdown in communication. And it was only the beginning. A few years later, the Mindar, a race known for their telepathic abilities, decided to try a different approach. They thought that if they used their powerful minds to communicate directly with the humans, they could avoid the misunderstanding that had led to the Zernak disaster. The Mindar didn't rely on weapons. They didn't need them. Instead, they reached out with their thoughts, trying to establish a calm, peaceful connection with the humans. But the result was even more terrifying. The humans didn't just block their telepathic messages. They sent back a wave of chaos, screams, anger, confusion, all flooding into the Mindar's minds at once. The Mindar couldn't handle it. Some of them went insane from the mental assault. Those who survived barely managed to escape. The humans, it seemed, could fight with more than just weapons. They could fight with their emotions. They could attack in ways no one had ever expected. What made it worse was that the Mindar couldn't understand why. The Mindar had used telepathy to communicate with dozens of species, but none had ever responded like this. It was as if the humans were fighting back against them, not with thoughts of peace, but with pure, raw emotion. Fear and rage flooded their minds. Even the most powerful races in the galaxy had never experienced anything like it. The human response wasn't just a defense, it was an attack. And no one had been ready for it. As the news spread through the galaxy, the Council realized that humans were not like any species they had encountered. They didn't act according to logic or peace agreements. They acted according to something deeper, and it made them unpredictable. The galaxy had underestimated them, and now everyone was afraid. The question wasn't whether the humans would attack again. The real question was whether they would ever stop. Years later, the galaxy was forced to face the truth. Humans were unlike any other species they had encountered. The Trakkons, a fierce and battle-hardened race of insect-like creatures, decided they would be the next to test the humans. They were confident in their strength and their ability to crush any species that stood in their way. The Trakkons had conquered countless worlds, and they thought Earth would be no different. They sent a large fleet of warships to invade. The Trakkons were known for their powerful weapons, their ruthless tactics, and their ability to overwhelm even the most well-defended planets. Earth, in their eyes, was a weak, backward world that wouldn't be able to stand against them. They couldn't have been more wrong. The Trakkons arrived expecting an easy victory, but they quickly learned that humans fought differently. At first, the invasion seemed like it would be successful. The Trakkons landed on Earth's surface, only to find that the humans had already prepared for them. The invaders were not met with fear or surrender, but with an unexpected level of resistance. The humans did not have the advanced technology the Trakkons were used to facing, but they used their creativity to their advantage. They didn't fight in the way the Trakkons expected. Instead of engaging in traditional battles, the humans used guerrilla tactics. They struck quickly and disappeared, using the terrain to hide and ambush the Trakkon forces. The humans set up traps, used explosives, and sabotaged the Trakkons' war machines. For every attack the Trakkons made, the humans retaliated with a cunning and brutal counterattack. The Trakkons found themselves losing ground, unable to match the humans' unpredictable fighting style. Worse yet, the humans didn't just fight, they adapted. Every time the Trakkons thought they had an advantage, the humans would find a new way to turn the situation to their favor. The humans had this strange ability to learn and grow stronger as they fought. They would take whatever weapons or technology they could find and figure out how to use it to their advantage. When the Trakkons tried to use their ships to attack Earth from the air, the humans hacked into their systems and took control of their own warships. They turned the Trakkons' weapons against them, using their own machines to destroy their fleet. It was clear that humans didn't just have brute strength or powerful weapons. They had a gift for adapting to whatever challenge was thrown at them. The Trakkons had never fought an enemy like this before. The more the humans fought, the more determined they became. They didn't know when to give up. They didn't know how to back down. No matter how many times they were pushed back, humans always came back with more strength, more ideas, and more fury. The Trakkons couldn't understand it. They had never faced an enemy so relentless. The more they tried to destroy the humans, the more the humans seemed to thrive. It wasn't just about strength or skill, it was about willpower. The Trakkons, with all their power and experience, had underestimated the humans. They had thought that the humans would fall quickly under their might. But instead, the humans fought on and on, without hesitation, without fear. And that, the Trakkons realized, was the most dangerous thing about them. The humans didn't give up, no matter the odds. As the war continued, the Trakkons were forced to retreat, their fleet in ruins. The humans had won. It wasn't an easy victory, and it wasn't because they were the strongest. It was because they had something the Trakkons couldn't understand, the ability to turn any situation into an opportunity, to use their minds and their courage to outsmart and outfight their enemies. The galaxy was beginning to realize that humans were not to be underestimated. They didn't fight like anyone else. They didn't follow the rules. And that made them dangerous in a way no one had ever seen before. The galaxy's perception of humans changed forever after their encounter with the Zarn. The Zarn were a fearsome species, feared across the stars for their enormous strength and near invulnerability. They were the rulers of the Death Worlds, a collection of planets where only the strongest could survive. Their empire was vast, built on the backs of soldiers who could crush entire armies with their bare hands. No one had ever defeated the Zarn, not even the most advanced civilizations. Their reputation for being unstoppable was known throughout the galaxy. But when the Zarn set their sights on Earth, they found themselves in an unexpected struggle. The humans had never been a match for the Zarn in terms of physical strength. But they had something the Zarn didn't expect: determination and innovation. When the Zarn invaded Earth, they arrived with all their might. Their massive warships blocked out the sky, and their ground troops tore through cities, leaving destruction in their wake. It seemed like nothing could stop them. But the humans didn't fall. They fought back with everything they had, and more. They didn't try to match the Zarn in strength. They didn't have to. Instead, the humans used their intelligence and resourcefulness. They took the Zarn's most powerful weapons and twisted them into something else. Humans built machines that could match the Zarn's power, but they were always thinking a few steps ahead. They developed new tactics, new strategies, and used their environment to their advantage. The Zarn, used to dominating weaker species, had never faced an enemy that could adapt so quickly. The human forces didn't stand in open battle with the Zarn's elite warriors. Instead, they targeted their weaknesses. They set traps, sabotaged their equipment, and used the terrain to confuse and disorient their enemies. The humans knew how to make the Zarn's power work against them. It wasn't enough for the humans to just defend. They had to turn the tide. And they did. One by one, the Zarn's powerful warships were disabled by cleverly designed traps. The humans found ways to breach their defenses, using technology and tactics that no one had thought of before. The Zarn were caught off guard by the humans' ability to learn, adapt, and push forward, no matter how impossible the situation seemed. Eventually, the Zarn were forced to retreat. They couldn't believe it. The humans, who seemed so small and weak at first, had driven them off their own planet. It was a humiliating defeat for the Zarn, who had never been forced to leave a planet they had invaded. The galaxy watched in shock as the Zarn fled, leaving behind their once feared empire in ruins. The humans had done the impossible, and in doing so, they had shown the galaxy that strength wasn't always about size or power. It was about will, creativity, and the refusal to give up, no matter how overwhelming the odds were. The Zarn were not the only ones who learned this lesson. Every species in the galaxy watched as the humans fought not just for survival, but for victory. It was a victory born not from raw power, but from the strength of human ingenuity. And it was a message the galaxy would never forget. The humans were not like any species they had ever encountered. They didn't fight by the rules, and they didn't back down. They fought with everything they had, using their minds, their hearts, and their unbreakable will to win. The galaxy, once so sure of its own power, was now filled with fear and respect for the species they had once underestimated. The humans had shown them that no species, no matter how strong, was unbeatable if the humans were willing to fight. The question now was, how many more times would the humans surprise them? The galaxy was no longer the same after humans had proven themselves. They had fought off the most powerful forces, defeated enemies that no one thought could be defeated, and had shown their enemies a strength that was not just physical, but mental. They had taken on the Trakkons, the Zarn, and the Zernaks, and each time they had emerged victorious. But it wasn't just the battles they had won that terrified the galaxy. It was the message they had sent. Humans weren't afraid of anything. They didn't care about the size of the enemy or the strength of their weapons. If they believed they could win, they would fight, no matter what it took. This level of fearlessness, of unyielding determination, was something the galaxy had never seen before. And that made them dangerous in ways no one had anticipated. The humans had not only defeated their enemies on the battlefield, they had changed the way the galaxy viewed power. For centuries, power had been about military strength, technology, and resources. The strongest species had always been the ones with the biggest armies, the most advanced weapons, and the largest fleets of ships. But humans had shown that there was more to power than that. They had used their minds to outthink their enemies, their will to outlast them, and their ingenuity to create weapons and strategies that no one had imagined. They didn't fight with brute force. They fought with their hearts and minds, and that made them a force to be reckoned with. The galaxy's leaders began to see the humans not just as a threat, but as a wild card. They had never been predictable, and they had never followed the rules. Where other species followed a code of honor or adhered to diplomatic agreements, humans did not. They were driven by something different. The will to survive, the drive to protect what they loved, and the fierce belief that they could achieve anything they set their minds to. And this made humans even more dangerous. The galaxy had rules. Every species understood the unspoken laws of war, diplomacy, and power. But humans were different. They didn't care about the rules. They made their own. And that unpredictability sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. If humans could defeat the Zarn, who else could they take on? What other species would they challenge? The more the galaxy watched, the more nervous they became. Every victory added to their growing fear. Humans didn't play by the established norms. They made up their own. Even the most advanced species, who had once been at the top of the food chain, found themselves questioning their place in the galaxy. The humans weren't just another species. They were a wild force of nature, and no one knew how to handle them. What made it worse was that the humans didn't even seem to care. They weren't seeking power for the sake of control or conquest. They weren't trying to dominate other species. They simply wanted to protect their own. They fought to survive, and in doing so, they had become the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever known. Their power didn't lie in the size of their armies or the technology they wielded. It lay in their ability to never back down, to always keep going no matter the cost. They were unpredictable, relentless, and terrifying in their ability to adapt to any challenge. As the galaxy watched the humans rise, they realized that the most dangerous thing about them wasn't just their strength. It was their ability to surprise, to adapt, and to fight when everyone else would have given up. And that was something no one could prepare for. The humans had shown the galaxy that power wasn't just about force. It was about the will to fight, the determination to survive, and the courage to do what others wouldn't. That was why the humans had become the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And the galaxy would never forget it.